Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Martin. Martin is from Florida in the USA. So let's see what Martin has to say. Enjoy the interview. So hello Martin, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how's your day going so far?
It's been good.
Yeah, what have you been doing today so far?
Just some errands, Christmas shopping, mainly getting decorations to put up the tree after we're done.
Do you like Christmas?
I like the holidays for the most part. For the most part, I just like the festivities of it all.
Tell me where you're from, Martin.
I'm originally from Dahlonega, Georgia. It's a small town north of Atlanta, but I've been in Tallahassee now for just over 9 years.
In Florida.
Yeah.
I see. And why the change from Georgia to Florida?
I had a opportunity for an internship in 2014, and I jumped at it to get away from everything I'd kind of known, to kind of get ultimately to be able to live my authentic self in a way.
I see. Besides the weather, what's the biggest difference between Georgia State and Florida?
I would say the politics can be a little different, but no. Ultimately, there's no state taxes in Florida, so that's a plus. But ultimately, there's just a different vibe. You kind of have that more relaxed feeling here. So yeah.
And do you see yourself living there for a long while in Florida?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to move towards Orlando now. We'll see what happens.
So I can see your sash there. It says Mr. Orlando Pride 2023.
Yeah, Mr. Orlando Leather Pride 2023.
Oh,
yeah.
Leather Pride, yeah. So tell me about the competition. Tell me about the experience.
It was a virtual contest, so it started in September. And we had multiple rounds. Ultimately, the first was, of course, the introduction video and a bio. The next round was Leather Pride presentation. So we had to submit 4 photos for each of the categories. So we did the Leather Pride presentation, then we did bar or hot wear. And then we also had to do the formals. And we did 4 photos again for each category. And then we had to do 2 speeches.
Wow.
My topics of choice were why my leadership skills made me the best candidate to be the title holder. And I also did mine on my chosen platform, which was team friendly. Stigmas associated with HIV and AIDS. And then we also had our judges interviews.
Wow. I see. And for people what would you like to participate, to be part of the competition, what they should do?
Ultimately, anybody that wants to participate can go to orlandoleatherpride.com, and they already have next year's application out there, and we're expanding the platform for next year. So we're going to have multiple tracks. We'll have Mr., Miss, or Mix Orlando Leather Pride.
Wow.
We'll have Sir, Boy, Girl, or Boot Black title, and then we'll also have Critter and Handler titles.
Amazing. Oh, wow. So it means that the organization, the whole thing are growing for different areas as well, different people to be part of it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what do you do for work, for living, Martin?
I technically work for the state. So that is why I kind of have some anonymity with my name and everything of that nature. But I work in human resources, doing data analytics, attendance and leave, stuff of that nature. And then I also do a little Uber driving on the side.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I'm sure you must have some stories to share with me.
Yeah, Uber's had some eventful ones for sure.
Amazing. Okay, so through the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life overall and your point of views as well, okay?
Okay.
Before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, would you like to tell me something interesting about yourself?
So I'll use what I did for the judges, actually. I find a lot of people are surprised to learn that I cheered in the Citrus Bowl halftime show in 2000 with the school cheer squad. That was years ago at this point. I haven't cheered since then, but that is honestly one of the most interesting facts I feel like about myself.
Amazing. Wow. Okay. Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Yeah.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best friend, okay, full of fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. My God, your chair feels very comfortable.
It is. It's very relaxing.
Before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about some reason you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, when have you been the most happy?
I would honestly say at this point in my life, I am the happiest I have ever been. Um, I got out of a relationship back in May that left me feeling some type of way about life, um, and went on a self discovery and came across some people along the way that led me to where I am now. And I truly feel like I've finally found my chosen family that's got my back regardless. And I'm thankful for that.
When you analyze yourself, Martin, when you think about yourself, what's the best part of being you?
I think that my caring nature and my willingness to give back to the community ultimately is the best part. I'm actually organizing a food drive in Orlando, and it kicks off next Saturday, um, or this coming Saturday, for the Zebra Youth, which focuses on LGBTQIA youth from 13 to 24 and trying to empower them to make better decisions.
Amazing. Very good. Next question. Let's do it. By the way, you are so sweet and kind. You sharing some of the, the work of the Matchbox, some thumbnails. I think it's great, to connect with people, and they somehow, even though I have so many people that they don't participate on the show, they don't have interviews, but at the same time as well, they are sharing, and they get the community bigger. So thanks so much for you for doing the same as well. Thank you.
No problem. That's actually one of the things I like to do is uplift and empower others. Ultimately, because I feel word of mouth is the best thing we can do for one another in the community.
Absolutely. And I strongly believe as well that, doing those things for other people, in the end of the day, we are doing for ourselves, for somehow it gets back to us in a bigger proportion. That's how I see.
Exactly.
Cool. Next question is, what makes you very sentimental?
Oh, I'm very much a sentimental individual as I take every little thing near and dear to the heart. I I do not take anything for granted that people do for me, especially after my past. My mother passed away when I was 17, which was in 2002. So throughout life, I've often felt alone in a way.
Mhm.
And when people do stand beside you, it ultimately makes you realize just how um, appreciative, and ultimately it gets me deep down. And I always end up getting a little emotional about it because it's just, you start to realize what truly matters, the sentimental value. It's just the small things in life that ultimately make a difference.
Wow. Thanks for sharing this event in your life, Martin. I'll tell you something. A coincidence. Today I had an interview with a lovely man from England, and actually he lost his mom and he was 17 as well. It's interesting. Today actually we were talking about that, and he was sharing the I mean the moment, it's something about that is, when you are 17, you are literally going through a lot. You know what I mean, with yourself, your sexuality, everything about you. You think that you don't understand the society, things around there, and plus that you need to deal with something so drastically that. I think no one at that age or never is ready or for this situation. So I think again, life is those roller coaster that sometimes we don't find answers for those events. But it happened for if it happened for us, it's for a reason. At the end of the day, and I'm sure it made you the person you are right now. And I think that you cannot imagine, my goodness, how difficult and sad and drastic for something to happen for us at that time. Do you have brother and sister as well?
I'm technically an only child. My
Mhm.
dad remarried in 2008, and now I do have three stepbrothers, but they're all older than me, so we never really grew up together or anything of that nature.
Let's see. If you can share, when you think about your mom, if you don't get emotional, when you think about her, there is like a memory that you go like, you know what? That memory always gonna have a special place in my heart.
So in 1993, there was a blizzard in Georgia, and we had about 14 inches of snow. And I just remember us going out in the snow and throwing snowballs at each other and just laughing, even though it was, freezing and everything. That is just one of the fondest memories I have, and I always look back on that. My mom was also one of those women that she didn't give a crap what people thought. So she would go out in public in her nightgown to get whatever she needed from the grocery store and come back home. So
Wow,
I admired that because she wasn't the stereotypical woman that had to be, all dolled up just to go out to the grocery store. So it ultimately showed me as a kid that as long as you're comfortable, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
amazing, very good. Whatever she is right now, I'm sure she's smiling just to know that.
Yep.
Sweet. Next question. So, right, before the next question, tell me what do you like the most about working HR? What's the best joy of it? And what for you to, how you will start your career?
So ultimately, the internship that brought me to Florida kind of started it in a way.
Mhm.
When I moved down here, I swapped degree paths because I had originally finished my associate's degree in computer support technology, and I decided that I wanted to make a change because I had had about 2 years off after my associate's degree because I was going through cancer treatments, and
Wow.
I just felt it was best for me because at that point I felt I had lost so much in skills with the technology industry because it moves so fast that I swapped to organizational leadership. And ultimately, that kind of led me to where I ended up in human resources. The part I like the most, though, ultimately is just being able to help others, doing attendance and leave. I coordinate Family Medical Leave Act, which
Wow.
ultimately, anybody that's going through a serious medical condition, I can help them through getting that time off to take care of themselves or a family member.
Wow. Amazing. Next question is, tell me what's your best friends, what do they do that comforts you the most?
Oh, the group of people I have in my life right now, there's about 7 or 8 individuals, and they know who they are. I I can't express how much they mean to me because every minute that I'm with them or talking with them just on the phone, I just get that warm embrace of acceptance, and it's quite frankly not something I've felt in years. Um, it's just their ultimate acceptance of everyone around them for who they are, without judging them for their past or judging them for their quirks, or they just accept you as you are, and their willingness to also give back to the community and mentor me along the way has been just such an inspiration.
It's so interesting about the connection we have with friends, isn't it? Like those people come to our mind, our life for so many reasons, and as you said, they just stay there, and the connection, you feel like you know them forever, like even from other lives, because the connection is so the bond is so strong, isn't it?
Yeah,
This
I'm very much a firm believer that things don't happen for a reason,
yeah, yeah,
or they do, excuse me, do happen for a reason. I should say there's not coincidences. Um, One of the individuals that's came into my life, we're always like literally saying the same thing at the same time. We're almost like just like connected on the same wavelength, and it's scary, but he has
uh-huh.
truly been such an amazing individual to have in my life. And yeah.
This morning I was talking to my best friend. He lives in Canada, in Montreal, and we were doing FaceTime. You know the time difference, and he was waking up with the kids, like calling and everything. And I was like, he just made my day. Like I was at here, I was like, my goodness, how amazing is to just have this moment. It's the highlights. And actually, when he was living in London, actually before he moved to Canada, I remember like sometimes we were literally, I was about to test him. Oh, I'm going to this place. Would you like to come for breakfast? And he said, William, I literally had my phone in my hands typing a message for the same thing when your message came through. No, but it's just like one of the coincidences. I could tell you like so many things. Then I was like, oh my God, really? He said, yes. So it's so many things that it's so strong, the connection that they meant to be in our lives.
Yep.
For sure. Cool. Thanks to Dan. Next
Sure.
question. Hey, Martin from Florida. Next question is, what do you think people need to know about each other before they start a relationship?
Ultimately, when you get into a relationship, you kind of have to know each other's limits and expectations getting into it. I think often within our community, people will jump into something because they want that bond, but not realize you have to talk through things to make sure you understand each other's limits. Ultimately, I know I personally have been very bad about it in the past, and I'm learning that it's okay to say no, that it's okay to stand up for what ultimately is best for your own interest. And ultimately, it's okay to be single and just enjoy life. As long as you got people that are surrounding you and supporting you, that's really all that matters. You don't have to have a partner, so to speak.
Totally, totally. And I think dating yourself every day, it's one of the best dates you can have, isn't it? Like going,
Exactly.
God, it's such a powerful moment for you to enjoy yourself and like have this moment with yourself, because I think it's a process for you to get ready for a relationship comes in the future, because you are dating yourself, you're preparing yourself, you are helping yourself, you are get yourself, not needs that you're gonna need from the other person. You put your needs with yourself, and after whatever it comes, it's gonna be a plus. It's gonna be like to come and to contribute for the moment, for the relationship.
Yep, self-love is so important. If you can't, as RuPaul would say, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? So,
It's so true. And sometimes for us, we need to go through those storms, relationship that we've been through in the past for us to understand that as well. Because sometimes, you just learn, with life, with
yeah.
moments happening to us. Have a relationship, the place where you live right now. Is easy for the gay community, the gay guys, the LGBT community to maintain a relationship. Is that city quite big or small? Tell me a little bit about it.
So Tallahassee is technically the state capital. The one thing that's different compared to other cities like Atlanta, that's also the state capital for Georgia, we don't have a true gay bar here. We have gay friendly establishments, but there's not an actual gay bar here. I find it to be a little difficult sometimes for me personally to interact here, unless you're on a dating app, if you will. When I'm in Orlando, though, there's always all these options. There's so many different bars there, and that's why I've been so drawn to Orlando since I moved here. And ultimately, that's why I competed in the contest as well. But it's a safe city for us here. Yes, it is. Ultimately, I would like to see some growth within the community to have more spaces for us exclusively. But that can always change in time as this city is growing fast. So
yeah, when I was checking your profile, so the name, I made a note here. I never heard the name before. How far are you from Port Canaveral?
oh, that's a good question. I want to say about 3.5, 4 hours, but I could be mistaken.
I see. No, I'm saying that because I was working for Disney Cruise Line, Disney World, and I was based in Port Canaveral, in Florida.
I know I'm 3.5 hours from Disney itself. So it
Could be.
may be closer to 4 to 4.5
I
to
see.
4.
Okay. Ready for another one? Let's do it. Next question. Martin, before the next question, when I was checking your profile again, and I can see that you express very open and proud about fetish, about kink, about leather. So tell me a little bit about the journey. When were you introduced to the to the leather community, or how it came into your life that you got, okay, that's the place where I find myself.
So it actually started years ago at this point. Um, it was probably 2010, 2011. I was dating my ex, Paul. We're still great friends. He lives in Georgia. He had gave me my first piece of leather and took me to my first leather bar.
Wow.
Ultimately, when I had cancer, um, a few years after, it kind of stopped my journey, if you will. It left me in a headspace where I didn't feel desirable or wanted by anybody or the community. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of excluded myself from all life, if you will, and just worked, and that was it. Um, and then getting out of this relationship, I realized I needed to do some self discovery again in May. And ultimately, it led me to going to Gay Days Leather in Orlando at the end of May, 1st of June. And I met at that point the reigning Mr. Gay Days and just had a one-on-one conversation about life and what I wanted to do for the community. And that literally just snowballed into this between meeting him, meeting at least 7 other people in the process, and then getting recommended by a few friends to just enter this contest. And it's ultimately what I needed to push me in the right direction to live my authentic self again, because I had been hiding for so long out of fear.
Um, I don't know if I literally had the interview with Mr. Leather European 2024. Actually, it's gonna go live in beginning of next month. And he talks a lot about that as well, about helping community. That's the thing, those people like you getting a title, for you is a good opportunity. Not just when you have a title, but for people who, embrace their communities. You know what I mean? And of course, those communities like Leather King, any fetish, still have a lot of stigma that people they don't understand much. They point it out. Society still kind of are there, and I find very fascinating people like you are, embracing, express yourself. I'm sure it must not be easy sometimes because still people, point it out, and I feel it's brave for you to guys to, just stand up for yourself for the community.
I kind of use that as a when the people do start questioning or pointing fingers, it honestly is the best opportunity to sit there and explain to them that leather lifestyle isn't all about the kink. Sure, it
Yeah.
is a part of it, yes, but in history, if you look back, a lot of leather lifestyle was always about giving back and community service, and that's always been something that's near and dear to my heart, and it just goes hand in hand now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's fascinating. You know what I mean? To see, whatever you like, whatever you feel like, it's your community. Just embrace it, and show off. Nowadays I think nowadays people they are more open about it. I think because of social media and the work that people like you they do, it open people's minds and get more exposed. And people they find themselves. Imagine people watch this interview right now. Maybe they are afraid or a bit scared to what, I love leather, but you know what I mean, I don't know how to get there. And just seeing someone talking so open about and passionate about that, you never know, people get inspired by that. You mentioned something about cancer. Are you okay to talk about it?
Yeah, yeah,
Sure. Okay,
yeah.
so no, my simple question for you, is everything like gone already? You went through the whole treatment and now you are completely covered. And the question for you is, what's the, let's say, the positive outcome that you took out of that challenge journey in your life?
Whew. I am 10 years cancer free. As of next month, I will have finished radiation December 7th, 2013, or no, excuse me, December 7th, 2014. So no, I got that backwards again. December 7th, 2013. But so it'll be 10 years next month. And ultimately it took me a while to realize what I got out of it or what I learned in the process. And ultimately it goes back to body image and why I stand by standing up for all bodies are beautiful. Because for the longest, I felt what cancer did to me took apart or made me less desirable or less attractive. Uh, and it has taken a while. but I'm finally there to where I realize I'm still just as beautiful or handsome as I was before, if not more so, because ultimately, when I had cancer, I was almost 350 pounds. And because of that, I actually went on a weight loss journey and lost over 120 something pounds. Actually, probably closer to 130 something pounds. But it ultimately empowered me to make better decisions for my life.
I see. All right. Thanks for sharing. Thank you.
Mhm.
Next question is, what is the one food you could eat for the rest of your life?
Oh, oh, um, there's a few, honestly, but I guess I'd have to go with chicken fingers.
Oh,
uh,
really?
uh, uh, Chicken fingers, a hamburger, or a pizza. I'm pretty much set on.
Do you like cooking?
I do enjoy cooking, especially
Oh.
if I can throw it all in a crock pot and let it go. I'm good. Make a
Is that
mean venison chili.
is that something that you can't leave, like you don't like to eat at all?
One more time.
Or there's something that you can't eat, like something that you don't like to eat?
Oh, so I like some seafood, but for the most part, I don't eat raw sushi. So that's like the one thing I don't really eat. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Next question. Let's do it. Hey, Martin. Next question is, good question. If you're not yourself, would you like to be yourself?
I mean, at this point in my life, I'm very comfortable in who I am, and I wouldn't change anything about what's going on in my life. I feel like, kind of as you said a while ago, I feel like everything that's happened in my life or in our lives leads us to who we are at this point in time. And sure, there's been some struggles along the way. And I wish sometimes I could go back and change it, but then I remind myself that ultimately I wouldn't be where I am without those struggles. And so, yeah, I'm very content in being who I am these days.
When you think about your life, what you are most proud of?
So I there's a few, I guess, but the main one is I'm the first person in my family to go to college and graduate. Um, addition At this point, I'm very pleased that I did the contest. I wouldn't say I'm just entering my title year, so I've got a lot of work to do, but I feel like this title year is going to allow me to make a lot of difference in people's lives. And I look forward to being able to do that because ultimately that's what it's all about is giving back and inspiring others. So I'm looking forward to this journey throughout the year.
When you won the title, when you became, Mr. Orlando Leather 2023, do you kind of, it comes with like a program for you to think that you need to attend, think that you need to achieve, think you need to support? How does it work?
I get to set my own calendar for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but ultimately, during the judges' interviews, we kind of had to say what we would do if we won. So
Mm,
ultimately, I had to kind of plan it out in a way then. And at that point, I knew I was going to do community outreach for queer youth and fight the stigmas associated with HIV and AIDS. I've already been working with Team Friendly Florida at one event back in early October, and we have other events next year. Um, and then I also am expected to attend as many regional or local events as possible to promote the brand, but ultimately I get to pick those. Um, some of them I do have to kind of coordinate with the producer of the event, but he's great to work with because ultimately the stuff he wants to do, it's kind of the stuff I want to do, so it all kind of works out. Actually, next weekend, the end of November, I'll be in Clearwater area attending Florida Power Exchange, which will be like my first event outside of our event to promote ours. And then I'll be in Orlando next weekend launching the food drive. So yeah.
I see. When you entered the competition, did you think you could win?
Honestly, the whole reason I entered the contest was just to push myself. I thought there was no way in hell I would win. Um,
Wow.
and during the process, I had Sir Jack and Daddy Bear Harley. They were kind of my first two mentors in the journey. And then I gained a few more along the way. But ultimately, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I will never be able to repay them for what they've done for me, and the self-confidence they've helped me regain in myself. Ultimately, without them empowering me. Yeah. And so that's ultimately when I entered, besides pushing myself, I wanted to inspire others like they inspired me. And that's all it's about to me. It's not about the recognition for myself. It's about inspiring others to do better for themselves and live authentically.
I see. But at the end of the day, of course, it's down to you as well, because you're the one who, entered the competition, you're there facing it, you're exposing yourself, you're sharing your ideas, you're sharing your point of views. And again, that's all down to you as well, you know?
Yeah. I mean, my mentors have been very quick to point out, they're like, we were there for you, but you did it. And I was like,
Oh,
yeah, I guess I did. And it's one of
absolutely.
those things, it's like, I did the damn thing in a way, like, because sometimes when you're in the middle of the contest or the journey, if you will, you kind of just lose, I don't want to say lose focus, but it's just like you're tunnel visioned because
Yeah.
you only have one thing in mind at that point, and you're just, focused on it. And when I look back now and I'm like, that was a crazy ride. Like, from literally joined the contest 2 weeks before it started.
Wow.
Um, and it was like a mad rush to kind of get everything together for me, but I did it. And I mean, it all worked out. And yeah,
No, something to point out is, of course, we never get anywhere alone. I think, you need, as you said, mentors, you need people, you need everything, it works together for you to get there. But at the end of the day, it's down to you. You put your energy there, you put your thoughts, you put everything there. And of course, the title came along. And I think that's a recognition for the work. And yeah, well done to you. Amazing.
thank you.
3 questions left. Let's do it. Hey, Martin, next question is, doing this, throughout 2020, when the world went upside down with the COVID crisis, yeah, there was something called COVID, that something happened not long ago. For you, tell me something positive that came out of that challenge journey that affect the whole world.
That was a scary time at the beginning for me, honestly, but for other reasons besides COVID. Um, but ultimately, during that process, I realized just how strong I was, being isolated and truly having to do it for myself, having no one to depend on. Um, yeah, I mean, as we were all isolated, of course, for quarantine, but I was truly isolated. I had all my family was 300 miles away. Um, I couldn't work Uber because my doctors at the time felt I may be at higher risk. Because in the beginning, they thought cancer patients, even if they were former, were still at a higher risk. And so my doctors were like, no, no, don't chance it with Ubering. And then, of course, we got a few months in and they realized it was certain types of cancer that were more at risk. But ultimately, I just gained so much self-awareness of my own strength.
Wow. Yeah, I think during that time, all of us, went through a lot. But at the same time as well, there was always a positive thing that all of us got out of it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
I think
really.
something.
Yeah, like I can't, I literally, I can't even, looking back, it's just like, did I do that? But I did. Yeah. Like I moved and everything essentially with one person helping me load the U-Haul. But when I moved out of my old apartment into my new apartment, I unloaded it all by myself. I've since then been working 2 jobs constantly to pay all the bills. Just, you know, I like to make sure people realize you may think you can't, but you can. You just have to put in the effort.
It's so true, and you just realize how the strength you have, and when you look back, said, "Oh my God, I've done it. It happened. You had no plan B, just plan A."
Yep.
You know what I mean? 2 questions left. Let's do it. Martin, so as a Uber driver, I'm sure you had, some experiences, maybe some challenges, maybe some funny, So if you could share like a situation that you go like, oh my God, I never thought that would happen to me one day.
So I I'll use a funny one in a way. I pull up at a bar one night to pick up a gentleman, and the bouncer brings him over to the car, puts him in the back seat, and then he knocks on my window. So I roll down my window. It's like, yeah. And he's like, I need you to promise me something. You get him in his house. And the gentleman's probably in his late 50s, early 60s. And I'm like, okay. Normally it's the college kids because this is a college town that you would expect to be like that wasted, but no. So the guy fell asleep in the back seat, which was fine. But we get to his house and I wake him up. He gets out, literally falls to the ground. And I was like, oh, this is why they told me to make sure he got to the door. So I get out of the car and I like get him back up on his feet and he stumbles again and I'm like, do you need my help? And he's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, I think you do, man. I think you do. So eventually, after he fell on his gravel driveway and scratched himself up a few times, we got him to the front door and then he had to dig out his keys and we got him in. But I just found it to be humorous because it's not what you would expect. But it was nice to see someone of his age also just enjoying themselves because generally, when I think of the drunk passengers that can't walk, it's normally the college kids. But
Oh my God, thanks to you. Hopefully this interview get to him somehow. He's gonna go like, oh, now I remember him. He was the one who saves my night.
yeah, he was at Sharky's bar if he is watching.
There we go, there we go. And now hopefully he gonna like send like you a card as a thank you. Next question is, what does family mean to you?
Oh, so for me, family is meant, it's been a struggle. I love my blood biological family, I do, but there's a lot of differences there. So for
Mhm.
me, family is about those people that are there for you regardless of your differences. So chosen family ultimately is these days is really my family, and they have my back regardless if it's 3 a.m. and I just need someone to talk to. They're there. Last night I had a friend message me when I got home from Uber. It was kind of like you were talking about with your friend in Canada. Like literally I was about to message him and he just started messaging me and I was just like that's what it's all about, is kind of just being there to uplift and empower each other, bouncing information off of one another. One of them reached out to me this week and we were talking about decorating and everything. And I was like, this is kind of weird. This is the first year I don't have plans for the holidays. Hadn't been invited home for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Uh,
Wow.
Fast forward an hour later, and he's like, so you want to come over to Jacksonville on Thursday around 4 o'clock? And I was like, sure. And he's like, yeah, we'll have Thanksgiving at my house. Um, so two of my mentors are going to be over there along with another person. So be four of us just having a nice little family Thanksgiving. And then I'll go to Orlando Friday. But I mean, it's about community and just uplifting and empowering.
Thanksgiving now in the US it's is in November, isn't it? Or no, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's the I guess it's always the third Thursday of the month.
I see. For you, compare with Christmas and Thanksgiving, I know Thanksgiving is even bigger than Christmas in the US, I believe. For you, celebrations, they are the same, or for you, they have the special, different meanings?
Growing up as a kid, they were somewhat the same.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and I would always get up. My dad was a deer hunter still. Um, so my dad would always be out hunting in the mornings while, it was still dark for the sun because had to get in the woods before the sun rose. Uh, but my mom and I would wake up around sunrise while he was still in the woods and we would start cooking. And it was just about that bonding with my mom. And then by the time my dad would get home around 12 or 1 in the afternoon, we would be done and we would sit down for family dinner. And then everybody would take a nap. Dad would go back hunting. And then when he got back at dark, we would all go ultimately over to my grandparents' house and do a large family dinner. Um, Over the years, it's changed a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but ultimately it's just, for me it's about spending it with people that ultimately empower you in life and don't be it's a I find it's hard for some people to realize you don't have to spend Thanksgiving or Christmas or any holiday for that matter with your biological family. If you can, great, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's about spending it with those that you consider to be your chosen family at the same time.
That was about to say, actually. You just made me realize something, actually, that I never kind of thought deeply about. Of course, growing up, we had the tendency of spending Christmas, Thanksgiving, all those holidays with our family because, we are together with them. But actually, those celebration, it's about spending quality time with people around you. Doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter who. It's about the genuine connection that you have with them. I think those holidays are made for that. And you just realize that when you grow up, when you are, when you realize what family or connection or bonds they are about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, coming out soon.
Yeah.
Ready for the last question?
Sure.
Last question, Martin. Let's do it. Could you hear the music or not at all?
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm going to jive with you.
Amazing, amazing. Before the last question, people watch the interview right now. Maybe they would like, to enter the competition for Mr. Orlando Leather Pride 2024. What's your advice for those people?
Do it. Um, every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. And ultimately, if someone was to enter the contest, I would be willing to, give them as much advice as I can. Of course, as we get closer to the event next year, I would have to ultimately pull back as I will be judging one of the categories next year. And as a judge, I wouldn't be able to mentor them at that point. But if they were competing in the other categories, I got them. So I just highly encourage it. It's a virtual contest, so you don't have to necessarily live in Orlando to compete. Sure, we would love for you to come to Orlando for the main event because you have to be there in person to accept the title if you are the winner. And the event next year will be November 1st through the 4th. And so, yeah, I highly recommend it. Look up Orlando Leather Pride on Facebook, and yeah.
Tell me the moment when they announce your name. Tell me the emotion. Tell me how how did you take it?
Um, it was overall overwhelming just because it wasn't expected. I I'm the type I try to hold things in and not let them out in front of large groups of people, so to speak. So I managed to get through my acceptance speech without crying. But I had been asked to sell shots that evening, so I knew I needed to go change into my shot boy outfit or whatever. And well, back up. When I was reading my speech, you could tell I was emotional because my voice was crackly or whatever. Um, but ultimately, it was at that point that I realized I did the damn thing. And because I put myself out there and was vulnerable, I was able to achieve that. But when I got back up to my room to change for the after party, I lost it. There's a photo of me on Facebook, I
Oh,
think, where you can see you'll see the skyline behind me in the picture, but you'll see my glasses are all steamed over and you'll see tears in my eyes. Because it was just at that moment I was like, this is for my mom. Well, it's not for my mom, it was for me, but this was what my mom was always telling me. Just be yourself. Others will see it and appreciate you as you are. And some members of my family have always told me if my mom could see me now, that she would kick my ass, if I'm honest, because they think she would disagree with my lifestyle. But
mhm.
I disagree with that. My mom knew who I was before she died, and it was never a concern for her. When my mom died, I went back into the closet and did not come out till 24.
Wow.
So she was the only person that knew at the time of her death, but she knew and she loved me for who I was, and that's what mattered. And it was just at that moment that I was like, this is what she always told me to do, and I'm doing it.
Wow. Did you feel her presence through the competition?
So my neighbor across the way here has some bird feeders. My mom always loved cardinals, and then cardinals also, there's some symbol with them being that it's your deceased loved ones there to guide you, so to speak. Since living in this apartment, I see red cardinal flying by every day. I had a package get stolen actually by someone, and I saw a cardinal flying around a white bag in the wood line around my apartment. It was my package. So ever since then, it's just been like, and that was right around the time I entered the contest. So it was almost like she's just been guiding me this whole time. Yeah, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. But yeah, I could definitely feel her. It was just like a warm embrace of like, this is what I wanted you to do, you know, like be yourself and love others as I loved you.
Wow, I've got goosebumps now. My goodness, what a beautiful story, Martin. And actually, I was about to ask you before if she knew about your sexuality before she passed away, but you already answered. And again, mom, it's just one. You know what I mean? And they know us is even better than ourselves. And even though, you know, for one, they're not here, like in person, but they're always gonna be by our side. So that's the thing. I have my mom back in Brazil, but I don't see her very often. I see her like very sporadically, and but for some reason she told me one day something that I'm never gonna forget. She said to me, "You know what? I think about you every day." Like literally every day. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I don't talk to her. Like it can be a week or 2 weeks that we don't connect, like talking or FaceTime. And one day she told me a long time ago, I said, look, I think about you every day. Like, so for me to hear that, you know, I said, oh my goodness, it comforts me somehow because, you know, there's just one. And even though they're gone or they're not by our side, they're going to be there always, you know what I mean? And as you said, you know, those, you know, moments when you go like, oh my God, you know, you connect somehow. It's like it's a presence that you can feel it is unique and it's powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah. Last question. Let's do it. Who are you most thankful for and why?
Uh, right now, at this point in life, I'm truly thankful for a few folks. So I guess I got to name them all. It would be Sir Jack, Sir Larry, Daddy Bear Harley, Boy Tipsy, Jeffrey Wayne, and Daddy Cody. Is they're the they're the core that ultimately pushed me to do this. And ultimately, Jeffrey met me when I was at a dark place coming out of that relationship. And he saw something in me. He heard my message, what I wanted to do, and ultimately but led me on this path and gave me he didn't give me, I should say, but he ultimately empowered me to make the right choices to lead me to where I am. And knowing that the people that I see me on a daily basis now are saying, we don't know what you've done differently in your life, but keep doing it. Like it's clear that that was the best decision I could make, and that those people have made such a positive impact in my life. When my coworkers at my day job are telling me they just see such a difference in me now.
Wow. I can see all of them watch this interview right now and smiling with your beautiful words. Right, so then yet, let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's start with, can you see me still?
Yeah.
Sometimes the internet can go down. Okay, let's start with family.
Love.
Life.
Adventure.
Money.
Who needs it?
Fear.
Overcome.
Love.
Trial.
I like that, actually. I like that. Trial. Wow. Sex.
Happiness.
Religion.
Oh, spirituality.
Politics.
Evil.
Friendship.
Necessary.
Desire.
One more time.
Desire.
Desire. Chocolate.
Love chocolate.
Yes.
Regret.
No regret.
Success.
Failure.
Wish.
Ah, that's hard. Granted.
Happiness.
Perseverance.
One word for Georgia.
Peach. That's
Huh,
the state fruit.
I like that. Actually, just made my day now. Learned something new. Wow, amazing. Florida,
Oranges.
of course. USA.
Land of opportunity. I know that's more than one word, but
Okay. I was expecting another fruit. I'm joking. One word for leather community.
acceptance.
One word for fetish.
Individuality.
Like that. And the last one now, Mr. Orlando Leather 2020. No, sorry, I'm gonna say it again properly. Mr. Orlando Leather Pride 2023. One word.
Community.
Beautiful. Let's pretend I'm going to meet all those lovely people that you mentioned before, like all those names, including Jeffrey. I'm gonna meet all of them for a coffee. I'm gonna go the way to Orlando, to Florida. I'm gonna get all together. We're gonna go for a coffee, and I'm gonna ask all of them. Tell me something. What's the most beautiful thing about Martin, and what's something that he still needs to work on? What do you think they would say? They would agree together.
The one thing I think they all would say they love about me is my compassion and desire to give back to the community. The one thing I think they would say I need work on is confidence. As I have admitted to all of them that I struggled with confidence after the cancer. And it is something that I am working through on this journey. But ultimately, I realize that it's all in my own head. And I'm putting that lack of confidence on myself. It's not that it's something anyone else has done for me or caused me to lack.
Let's play now, Martin and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But hey, you can ask me a question now.
Ooh. If you could go on one overseas adventure, where would you go and who would you take?
Oh, I like the second part. I was like, oh my god, who I'm gonna take him. Okay. Overseas, where I would go right now, actually. Oh, actually, I would go to San Francisco. I don't know why. It just came to my mind now to San Francisco, Florida, to the US. You know what? I had so many people on the show from the US, you know, from Florida, from San Francisco, you know, California overall, and I don't know. I was thinking the other day. I can't wait for me one day to go around the world and meet people from all those places that I've been, you know, interviewing. And I think San Francisco, fun enough, I had people on the show from different fields, yeah, like work different things, LGBT communities, and you know, different sharing different things. And I would go to San Francisco right now. At the moment, I just came to my mind who I would take with me. Okay, you know what? I'll take a friend of mine who lives in Holland. He's a very close friend of mine. I know him for over 20 years now. He's the first friend I made since I arrived in Europe. When I was living in Portugal, and actually, it's a good question, and I like the answer because we were talking about this year. We were talking about doing like a car sorry, a car trip around the coast, like going to California, and actually, so if I had this opportunity to go to San Francisco, of course, he needs to come with me because we're already planning something like that. So yeah, I think I'll take my friend with me, you know, and yeah, I would go to San Francisco. I'd love to go to the city one day. I can't wait. Yeah.
It's one of the places I definitely want to visit. Is a lot of my friends are out there that I've met through this journey. So
Yes, and the you know the impression that you know talking to people and you know the history as well. San Francisco is a very welcome city for the you know for the gay community. The you know the all different like leather. So many people talking about you know different fetishes and they're so open minded there. And yeah, it's fascinating to see some parts in the world where people, the population, it's kind of grown and open-minded, and they welcome people as well. There are people, they go there, or they move there for those reasons as well. And I think it's fascinating to see. So yeah, San Francisco, I'll come one day.
You'll have
Maybe
to
we can
tell
meet
me
over.
so I can meet you there.
I was about to say that, of course. Why not? We organize together, you get as well, and you get all. Therefore, it's going to be quicker and easier, I think, to be there. Did you enjoy the interview, Martin?
I did. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for being so open as well. And again, it's fascinating to see someone embracing, their fetish, or their things that they embrace, they like it. And again, it's not easy, and you need to be brave for it. And I think, being part of, holding a title as you are right now, it came for you, I'm sure, in the right time as well, because you're talking about being confident about, things that you went through in your life not long ago, and those things come in the right time. I'm sure you feel the same, because those things just come like to kind of somehow shake you off a little bit, to go like, okay, I'm going the right direction, things are happening, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm glad we connected during this time of the year, and keep, spreading this positivity, this work that you do, that again, people appreciate. Sometimes you even don't know, and you don't realize how much, those things can get to people, and they can make a difference in their lives, because talking about it, express yourself, expressing the negativity, the challenge, the positivity. People, sometimes, all of us, we sometimes, with a word, or with a comment, or with a phrase, or with a story, a memory, it changes people's lives, and they appreciate that. So thank you.
Anytime.
Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
I try to live life by one of Maya Angelou's quotes, which is to be a rainbow in someone else's storm. So I just recommend that everyone remember that as they head into each day, and to let the past be the past and start anew each day.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Regards to all those lovely people you mentioned on the show, and you keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure to have you, okay? Take care. Bye, Martin. Take care. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why do you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.